right, and welcome back to the In Case podcast. My name is Colin, that's Saltless, and we will be your host for today. And on this week's episode, we are going to treat you to a very unusual aspect of Australia. What if I were to tell you that these Aussies once waged war against a large flightless bird and completely lost it?
Wow, sounds unbelievable. But, well, tell us more about it.
So in order to talk about the Emu War, we'll have to go back to post-World War One, when these Australian variants were coming back from war, right? And the government offered them a bunch of farmlands as a token of appreciation for what they did. And they also promised to buy wheat at astronomical prices if they were to grow them. And things started out fine. The variants picked up their land and started farming until they weren't, because there wasn't enough farmlands. There was something like 200 acres of land spread across 5,000 variants. So, and if you're at the end of the line, you get your land at Perth, which is not a great place for farming. But overall, the variants did procure a considerable amount of wheat fields.
Well, I just looked up about their opponents, the emus. Well, they look like half the discount ostriches. They're 6.5 feet tall, weighing 100 pounds or more. Well, they do not like being around other emus except when they're breeding or gathering food. And yes, the wet fields are their target.
And yeah, so the emus started to come. They call on their friends, they call on their families, and the farmers expressed their disapproval of the emus present on their wheat fields because they were munching away on the delicious, scrumptious wheat buffet. And I guess you could say the emu fires the first shot in the war, but animals do that, so we can't really blame them.
So the farmers decided to take action in 1932, and so they called for the help from the authorities. But if you think that they went to the Ministry of Agriculture, then you were wrong. They went up to the military. They met up with the Minister of Defense, Sir George Pierce. And so the army, under the commands of Major General P.W. Meredith, triggered the war.
Yeah, and right, so this is not just a problem that is upset and been a nuisance to the variants to grow their wheat, but it's also a fantastic opportunity for the government to show how much they love their variant. Like a propaganda, I guess you can say. And to their own people, and they also commissioned a cameraman set in order to record the whole thing and show to the public.
Wow. But yeah, there were also deals to be made. The army agreed to settle the emus under the condition that the farmers had to pay for ammunition, foods, and lodgings. But then, like every other bird, if you were going to pull out a gun and start shooting at them, sooner or later, they're going to stop feeding and just go wild, insanely wild.
Yeah, and the thing is, they are not packed into just one place or something like that. Remember, they do not have a society to collaborate to survive, so they just spread all across Western Australia. And they are crazy fast. These guys can reach speeds of 40 miles per hour. And so if you had a machine guns, you're basically just raining bullets everywhere, hoping to catch an emu, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, the army was only able to clear what they call a number of birds. The emus were pretty much indestructible themselves.
And when time did come for the A-team to kill the emus, they found a good shooting ground. It was near a local dam, I think, where they have all the emus round up and open fire. But the funny thing is, they killed about 12 emus and their gun just completely jammed. And all the other emus were just got away.
Well, they staged multiple offenses over the course of 6 days, and it wasn't doing the job I would say, and so the media coverage started pouring in. News was spreading like hell, fast as it wasn't a very good look, so they bailed out just to be back in action in a few weeks later, because the farmers' demands ran high, and it wasn't very successful at all.
Right, and they were initially apportioned about 10,000 rounds of ammunition. They ended up spending twice that amount to kill just a mere 200 birds. And even though they did make some progress, I would say that it's pretty negligible.
Well, it was looking back pretty bad for the image of the Australian government. Not that they're basically killing their own national bird, but also because the fact that they're losing miserably and people ending up rooting for the emus instead.
If you ask me, I'll probably root for the emu, to be honest. And so in the end, about 1,000 emus were killed, and Meredith was resting on his laurels. He was pretty proud of the achievement, but I guess you could say he won the war.
Yeah. And yeah, so they just kind of stopped, and the farmers took matters into their own hands, and they went out there, but instead of using machine guns, which is more
pretty excessive,
yeah, excessive, but more pleasant than these things that they use, which is single barrel shotguns. Pretty painful. And it was expectedly more effective. About 15,000 emus were killed within a month.
But what really helped in the long run was much more simple, and that was just stronger, more reinforced fences.
And yes, so the problem was solved. The government has stopped the campaign once and for all, and the emus were back as a protected species.
Alright, sound ridiculous, but a war is still over after all. Okay, that will wrap us up for this week's episode. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you guys very soon.
See ya.